Hello everyone, this is Defense Politics Asia, and this is the report over in the Syrian region, and particularly today we will be talking about um, the war between Turkey and the Kurdish forces in Syria, the SDF or the Kurds. So there is some heavy fighting across the entire northern front between Turkey and the SDF, and I just want to go through the situation over here. Before we start, we do have some reports of the Syrian National Army, demanding the town or village of Etmana. So this is Etmana, and so within this olive tree plantation region, some part of it is being demanded, by the SNA, the National Army, Syrian National Army, to give up the 300 olive trees along some of these hills to build a new Turkish military base in the village. So the exact location I'm not so sure, but as you can see, based on the olive tree, and it's supposed to be along the hill or the mountain. So probably just around here. So 300 olive tree doesn't sound like a lot, but also sounds like a lot. So a Turkish military base is expected to be built up here, and in the latest one of the latest information is actually shelling reported at the Onkupina border post. So Onkupina is actually this custom border region, and there's a military installation around there, and the Kurds, actually the SDF, the Syrian Democratic Forces, or basically they are just mostly dominated by the Kurds, launch rocket attacks against Okumpina. So the Turkish defense ministry then reported that in retaliation they managed to kill 11 YPG or PKK terrorists to retaliate against the rocket fired into this Turkey region. Not the Turks, however, did not really report how they actually killed these 11 terrorists or report alleged terrorists. They Did they kill someone in the prison, or did they launch a counter attack? No one actually knows. So no one knows exactly what happened. So meanwhile, in the northern part of Aleppo, there is some incidents between the SDF and the Turkish forces. So there is a shelling reported at El Mayasa or Mayasa region. This actually reported to be Turkish forces firing rockets at the Syrian army. So which is kind of weird because the Syrian army usually aren't really fighting with the Turkish forces. So this happened, and then there is actually fighting reported on the 6th of January near Afrin. So Afrin is actually this city around here, but the front line is actually much further away. There is fighting around this region between the SDF forces and the SNA forces. So according to New Arab, the Turkish-backed Syrian National Army, the SNA, clashed with fighters from the Kurdish-led Syrian Democratic Forces, the SDF, near Afrin. So there's some fighting around this region, and then there is also bombardments at Azaz, according to Syrian HR.com. HR probably is human rights, I guess. So anyway, or human resource. So the 4 members of the Turkish forces were injured due to missiles attack. Probably these are just rocket attacks, not missiles, against the scientific research area in the eastern part of Azaz city. So this also shows that there are indeed Turkish personnel or forces within these Turkish occupied regions in Syria. So that some kinds of confirms it. There's also the Kurdish shelling at Hazwan on the 13th of January, where a Turkish soldier was killed. And this is all this are very interesting because they are basically asking for an invasion with all this attack. And the Turks are unlikely to do another invasion because usually before they do a ground offensive, they need to justify it, and they do try to build back a relationship with Syrian government. So seeing that the Syrian government is not going to collapse, they're going to make friends with it. In case you are not familiar with the mapping, the white one is actually the Syrian government controlled border. This light yellow are the mixed forces between the SDF and the Syrian army. But usually when you have the mixed one, usually it tends to be mostly the SDF controlling. Then the dark yellow is exclusively the SDF. The red one is actually Turkish plus Syrian National Army. So these are the relevant colors that you might want to know. And and then I will not cover the ones by the Syrian government. So not to confuse the information, this video is just going to be focusing on the Turkish forces against SDF. And so that's all from the Aleppo region. Going to the Al Hasaka region, drone strikes are the taste of the menu around here. I'm not even sure if that's English. So drone strike was reported at Tawi on the 3rd of January. So they took out 2 of the SDF soldiers, and then there's a MLKP leader, which is a Marxist Leninist Communist Party, so-called terrorist leader that has been killed by the Turkish forces. So this was a thing. This happened around this region here in the Hasaka region, and there's drone strikes continue to be reported south of Amuda, southeast of Amuda, where a military vehicles was targeted by 2 missiles from a Turkish drone, probably the well-known Bayraktar drone. And then there's also a drone strike reported on the 12th of January where a car that was parked in the Kamalo village was destroyed. So not sure what exactly they were hitting, because the reports coming out from Syria, especially SyriaHR.com, these are not neutral sources. So we shall see how all this going to turn out. These are just reports of what happened. Drone strike was also reported on the 18th of January along the El Catania road, where a car was actually destroyed by a Turkish drone. So it also, as you can see, it's against SyriaHR.com. It was unclear if this car is actually driven by a soldier or something. No, it's unknown. So these are the situation over between the Turkish and the SDF forces. So just to add on a bit more, the Turkish forces has also arrested or killed 2 PKK members on the 1st of January, on the New Year, within the mountain regions around the Matina region. So Matina is here. So around this region, this mountain region, as you can see, the orange one, these are actually a PKK operational area. So there was Turkish forces probably operating within the mountain region to take out these 2 PKK members. And there's also an airstrike reported on the 4th of January north of Duhok. Duhok is actually, or Dihok is actually this city over here. And there's an airstrike reported north of it. Based on, there are actually videos of this airstrike. There's smoke coming out behind the mountain, taken from Duhok itself. So I managed to kind of geolocate a little bit somewhere around here. This is where the airstrike was actually happened. So yeah, so that's the report from Syria, between the Turkish and the Kurds. So things are not looking very good, because if the Syrian government managed to make peace with the Turks and make some kind of deal to forcibly take back the rest of the country, then the SDF is going to be fighting on 2 different fronts. The SDF, the Rojava government, basically the the Syrian Democratic Forces higher up, their civilian side is trying to make peace and make a deal with the Syrian government side, to rejoin the Syrian Republic. So not sure how far this will go. They are currently, they can approve, they can agree on most things. The only thing they can't really agree on is the status of the SDF forces. So the SDF forces, the Rojava side really wanted the SDF to be, included into part of the Syrian government military, to become official military. But the Syrian government categorically refused to do that. This is the reason why the talks have kind of failed. So, and this is also, looked upon by the Turkish side very positively, very happily, because they don't want the Kurds to have any military. So, with the Syrian government side, refusing to budge on this thing, which means that the Turkey itself, Erdogan, the president of Turkey, do not really need to make a decision on going to war with Syria over the Kurds. So the political situation for the Rojava is not so good. The Americans have sent reinforcement into the region, increasing their military numbers, as well as building some new military bases within Syria. However, it may not be enough to save the SDF should they got engaged into two different fronts against Turkey and against Syria. So let's see how this goes. I will report in due time, I guess, in maybe 2 weeks time or 1 week's time. We shall see how things go based on my schedule, and hopefully this helps to let you have some overview of what is actually happening over in this largely forgotten region due to the Ukraine war, because Ukraine war is a much more popular topic. So anyway, thank you for watching, and I'll see you in the next update.